Hello, good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for joining me. It's good to see you. Welcome to the final Books and Beer of the season. And I'm here today on my own solo show, which I'm really excited to do actually. I haven't done one of these for such a long time that when I thought about doing the final show and what to do for the final show, I didn't have anyone in mind, and I'd had such a great few weeks of conversations. I thought, why not just have one, do one of these on my own. Let me just do a quick levels check. Can you hear me at home? Because it's always hard to tell on your own because there's no one else to tell me. Like when I'm talking to one of the other people, they're like, yeah, I can hear you. No, I can't, you know. But because I'm here on my own, I can't say. So no one said they can't hear me, so I'm assuming all is fine. And yeah, Alison says perfect, amazing, thank you. And it's one of those, isn't it? I love doing this. I absolutely do. I really enjoy these Wednesday afternoons. I love having the sort of conversations that I get to with the guests that I have on and with you people in the comments. But I do also really enjoy having a few weeks away from it. And that's what I'm going to be having from next week. So I'm going to go until January the 12th. So I was trying to work out how many weeks that is. I think it's 4 or 5 weeks without Books and Beer. And then I've got Jim Heskett joining me on January the 12th. And then from then on, we'll be weekly for however many weeks we go. God, we've got loads of people in the comments. I'm going to do some jump in and do some quick hellos because I'm going to be relying more on you guys this afternoon because I haven't got anyone else to sort of bounce off, you know. So I'm relying more on you. So stick around, stay exactly where you are. But before I do that, I'm going to open my beer. Doom Bar, a British classic beer from Cornwall, from the Sharps Brewery, one of my faves, bought yesterday. Yeah, what a special one for the season finale. Listen to this noise. I'll put it close to the microphone for you. There you go. It's good sound, isn't it? Don't spit it on the computer though. That's a good advice for when drinking beer at your desk. Spitting it on the computer is always a bad idea. Oh, some lovely comments, some great people in the comments. And just as a comment from, you know, if you're listening at home silently and you've never commented on these shows, that's fine. You don't need to, you don't have to. But it is lovely if people do. I like the interaction. I find the interaction really, really important. I find the interaction a thing that keeps me going, keeps me doing this. I get a lot from it. So if you have done that and you are doing that, thank you. We've got some of the usual suspects in here, which I love. Fiona, hello. Alison, hello. Who else did I see? Lucas, how are you, man? I'll be seeing Lucas. I'm working with DJing with Lucas later on this afternoon, or this evening, in fact. How are you doing, dude? I'm looking forward to tonight. Kevin, yes, mate, one of the previous people on the show. In fact, I'm going to do a roll call in a little while of all of the, if I can find the list, I've saved it somewhere, of all of the people who have been on Books and Beer this season, just this season, from September through to now. I was trying to think of the first date of the first one. Let me see if I can pull it up, actually. Back in... I bet my voice is going to start playing now. Back in September or something like that. I'm going to see if I can find the date of it. 2 moments. Oh, we're up to 121 subscribers now as well, which is really exciting. So if you haven't subscribed on the YouTube channel, even if you watch on Facebook, I haven't even had a sip of this yet. Even if you watch on Facebook or somewhere else or through the window because you're creepy like that, if you could if you could subscribe on YouTube, that's helpful because the more people that are on there, the better it thinks my videos are and promotes them to all sorts of other people. People sometimes ask me how much hold on a sec. Let's go on to this one. Don't play though. September the 15th is the answer to that. So 2 months ago. September, October, November, December, 3 months ago. December the 15th, almost 3 months ago was the first one of the season. So that's how long they've been going on. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Yeah, if you subscribe to that, YouTube recommend it to other people, and that's very, very helpful to me. So if you're able to do that, or if you know someone who hasn't yet subscribed, that's a great thing to do. Cheers. So Ray is saying yes to the season finale. Absolutely, I'm pleased to be here. Steve Taylor's getting confused because he thought it was a show about sausages. I love how this has become a sort of theme running through Steve on the show. And I saw he did an interview for Fiona's Facebook group, Fiona's Book Nook. If you're not on there, make sure you get on there. It's great. And I think Alison asked what his favourite food was. And I was like, silly question. He's always having sausages. By the way, Fiona, where are you now? I know you were last Wednesday. You were en route from Ireland back to England, or was it the other way around? Where are you? Yeah, how's that going? I know you're between places at the moment. Alison's wishing Steve a hello afternoon, the king of sausages. And Kevin asks, I'm glad you've asked this actually, because I wanted to talk about this. What's your target books released in 2022? Well, as you will know, Steve says he's stuck with sausages forever. Oh, she's in Bury St Edmunds. She's home. Nice. That's good to hear. Target books released in 2022. I would like, fingers crossed, everything going well, to release 4 books in 2022. Now, I know we had Ernie on the show last week and he was saying, I'm going to release 10. And we had Thacker on the one before. He was saying a similar thing. We have Steve Moore on it a little while ago. He was like, 15, 20. You know, I'm going for 4. Because this year I've done 5, with including the ones with Kayla, the ones I've been working with Steve on. So I feel like, but that because they've been joint projects, they're not quite as in some ways they're not quite as full on as the ones I do on my own. So yeah, that's my intention. I'm currently working on Riga's done. I'm currently working on Istanbul. Here we go. There's the cover. That's what it looks like. You can pre-order it now. If you just search for Istanbul Luke Richardson on Amazon, you'll find it if you haven't already. I'm about 35,000 words into the writing of Istanbul, and it's going well. It's going slowly, but it's going well. Yeah, I really love that cover though. I think my cover guy's done a brilliant job of it. I think it looks a bit sort of abstract. I think the sky is sort of mottled, and yeah, I think it looks quite artistic. I like that. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a good one. Alison says she's already pre-ordered. Thank you. In fact, I know you have. I think you were the first one to pre-order, because I remember you saying to me, because you'd found it before I'd even told anyone it was there. I'd put it up and hadn't done a announcement. In fact, I don't think I've even told people on my newsletter yet, on my mailing list, that it's out. So I should probably do that before in the next little while. I've just had a lot of other things going on, so I haven't got around to it. But yeah, that's out. That's going to be out. Well, I mean, 35,000 words at the moment. I'd really, really like to have the first draft finished by the end of the year. That's my intention. I'm not sure I'll get there, and I don't mind if I do or I don't, to be honest. It's not really one of those things that's set in stone. If it happens, if it doesn't happen, that's absolutely fine. But I mean, that means it'll be done at some point in the first couple of weeks of January if it's not done this year. And then edited, whatever, probably a month, 6 weeks. So maybe February, March time. That'll be with you guys, which I'm really looking forward to. Leo and Alyssa, I haven't done a blurb yet, but Leo and Alyssa go to Istanbul on the trail of a missing conspiracy theorist. And I've loved researching this one. It's so much fun. This guy is one of the characters in the book is a like leading conspiracy theorist who has written a book about this conspiracy that he believes in, to do with governments and all sorts of things. And he prophesizes his own disappearance and then disappears, as he prophesized he would. So obviously Leo and Alyssa are sent to investigate, and they rock up in Istanbul, which was the last place he was seen. And I won't tell you any more than that, but it's going to be great. The city features very heavily in it, as it has done before, with all of its sort of historical things in terms of the architecture and the way that it's lots of cities built on top of each other, and lots of different, the idea of it being Europe and Asia put together. All of these sorts of things to do with the city come in, the light and dark sides of everything. Yeah, I'm currently writing a brilliant scene in a sort of high-rise building in one part of the city where they've got to go in and do something, and I'm not going to say any more because I'll give too much away. But it's going to be a great book. I'm really pleased with it. One thing I've noticed, though, about this one, and I don't know whether it's my writing style or just the book itself, but this one feels a bit more sort of action-packed than some of my older books, like Hong Kong and Kathmandu. This one feels a lot more sort of just full throttle, stuff happening all of the time. There's less downtime in this book. Now, I wonder whether you guys and girls who've read all of my books or some of my books or none of my books maybe, which is fine too, do you mind that? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad, that it's changed slightly, that it's become a little bit more sort of action, adventure, high-paced? I've turned up the gas a little bit. That's why I'm doing this symbol, I think. I think that's what this gesture means. What do you think? What do you reckon? Let me know. I was waiting for someone to say this. Steve Taylor's jumped straight in and said, like a Danny Pearson book. Yeah, actually, to be honest, mate. No, not taking the mick at all. Yeah. I mean, no one dies in the first scene. This is one of the great things about Steve Taylor's books. You open the book and it's just sort of someone gets shot in the first two paragraphs, which is great. That doesn't happen. It's not quite that cutting edge, not quite that sharp, but it's definitely sharper than it was before, than some of the others. And Fiona says she doesn't mind. She likes the variety. What do you mean here, right? So you guys scribble, write. So I've got books to read and proofread for 2022. I'm working on it, mate. Don't you worry. They are coming. There will be plenty of books. Yeah. The one after that, Istanbul, I'm thinking, and this is an idea I'm playing with, and I don't know if I've told you guys this yet, but I will, because you're my mates, I'll tell you everything. I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking of doing one set in London. Now, for me, I have lived in Nottingham for a long time, and then before that I lived quite near Brighton on the south coast. So London has always been quite local to me. It's an hour and a half on the train. It's not far at all, and I've been there hundreds of times. So it doesn't have the sort of exotic feel that Berlin or Hong Kong or Kathmandu or New York or Riga or Istanbul or any of these other cities that I've written about has. It doesn't have that exotic appeal, but it's still a really cool city, and I still like going there, and I love showing it to people. And I also have realised, having spoken to a lot of friends in America now, and now I've sort of getting friends all over the world through my writing and the other sort of things that I do. I've sort of realised that a lot of people do think it's a very exotic and interesting place because it's in a lot of films. It's a very famous city, it's a very historical city. So I wonder what you think about that. I know we've probably got I'm just looking at the chat. I know most of us in here are probably British or English. Other than Ray, I can't see any other Americans in the chat. So, I mean, Ray, what do you think as our only American in the chat at the moment? And if you're an American listener or Australian or Canadian or any other place and you're watching afterwards, let me know, because I'm really interested in your sort of feedback before I sit down and spend 2 months writing the thing and you go, nah, I don't like that idea. Let me know what you reckon. Yeah. Fiona says London's a great idea. Alison says Catford is exotic. Yeah, I know Catford. Yeah, that's what I thought, Fiona. The exotic appeal maybe to you because you're so familiar with it. But I think it's exciting. Yeah, this is what I think. I think it's because I'm familiar with it, because I've been there a lot. I sort of feel, I feel that I know it already, So yeah, that's the thinking. After that, I don't know. I mean, I know I've done on my newsletter actually over the past loads of little, where do you think this book should be? You know, where do you, what was your idea? And I've had loads of suggestions over the last couple of years about that. So maybe I'll dig back into some of them for the next two. I just don't know. I'm not sure about the two after that, but I mean, I will see how they come, how they work up. Yes, Steve Taylor says he could meet Danny Pearson. You know what? That is a brilliant idea, isn't it? That's such a good idea, because my characters are not that hard. You know what I mean? They're more sort of, they don't really fight. They're a bit more sort of, you know, I don't know how to describe them. I don't want to say soft, because I don't mean they're soft. They're just not hard like Danny Pearson is. So maybe they sort of like recruit Danny Pearson for some real hard knuckle fighting that needs to go down or whatever. Ray says, London is fine with me. I presume it's as big as there is something exotic there, even for Brits. Yeah, it is a big city. Well, it's the biggest city in the UK. I mean, what is it? 20 million, something like that, Greater London? Am I wildly wrong in that? Yes, 20 million, or maybe near that. So it's a good, you know, chunk of the country, quarter of the country or something, living the Greater London area, like the whole area, not just the city centre, like the whole district itself. Yeah, it's a big place. But I mean, it would be set in central London. I'm not really going to set it in like Stratford or Richmond or something like that. As much as those places are nice, I want the iconic things, not just like you went down to the Co-op on Stratford High Street, bought a thing in Costa, you know. That's not what I'm looking for. But anyway, there you go. Yes, Steve Moore. Doombar is a phenomenal drop. It is indeed. Yes. Here we are. It's a good one. Yeah, this is fun. I like doing these solo Books and Beer. If you've only just joined us, thank you for joining me. I do Books and Beer every single week normally, and normally I have guests with me. Today, because it's the season finale, I'm not. I'm doing it just on my own, just to wrap up the season and thank everyone. I will go through the list in a minute. In fact, I'll load that up on here. I will go through the list in a minute and name drop everyone who's been on this season, because it has been brilliant. It's been just under 3 months. So September the 15th was the first one when we did that with Damien Vargas, the legend that he is, and then. Yeah, we've had what a great selection of people, and it's due to continue again on the 12th of January. So put that in your diaries, because we will be back better and stronger than ever. Well, I don't know about that, but we'll be back certainly. Ed Turner says, "Good evening, sir." Hi, Ed. How are you doing, man? Oh, where's your comment? Not showing for some reason. There it is. Perfect. Right. Where's the list? Oh, here we are. So, yeah, we started off with Damien Vargas, who's in Andalusia in Spain. So we've been all over the world as well with this. It's brilliant. Then we talked to Michael Pronko, who is in Tokyo in Japan. Then Ty Hutchinson, who is in Bangkok in Thailand. Then Phil Williams, who is in the States. I can't remember where he is, though. I'm sorry, Phil. Then Amy Waeschle, who is she's in the States as well, but she was in the Pacific Northwest. I know that. They're near Tacoma. Then Steve Taylor, who's in old rainy Blighty, Norfolk. Well done, Steve. Then Steve Moore, who's in Mexico, in San Miguel, Mexico. Dawn Brookes, who gets the prize for the closest person to me, just 20 miles away in Derby. Ray Braun says Phil's in Pennsylvania. Brilliant. Thanks, Ray. Terry Marchion, who is quite close to Amy Waeschle, actually, up in the Pacific Northwest. Mark David Abbott, who's in India, in Bangalore in India. Nick Thacker, who was in Texas. And Ernest Dempsey, who was in Chattanooga in Tennessee last week. So what a combination. I feel like I need to get my map up here and sort of put pins in with all the people that I've spoken to all over the world. Yeah, what a great combination. So, and if you missed any of those, or you haven't seen all of those, they're all available on the YouTube channel. If you just search Luke Richardson author in YouTube, you'll find it, and you can watch them all there. Should you want to? Should you want to? Kevin says, have you got Lee Child lined up yet? Unfortunately not, although that would be a good one, wouldn't it? Do you think he'd spare half an hour to talk to a show that has, 20 people that tune in and drink beer with me? I reckon he might. I reckon he might. Cheers. If you're watching, Mr. Child, come and join us. We're having a party over here and you're invited. Do you know what, though? I have really sort of carefully selected people for this. And I've had quite a few suggestions from various people that I haven't followed up on for lots of reasons. And one of the reasons is I don't want it to be like sort of, how do I sort of phrase it? I want it to feel sort of intimate and just like a conversation. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want there to be a thing where it was like interviewee, or oh, thanks for coming on, thanks so much, like sort of star and not star or whatever. I wanted it to be just like a chat amongst people who have similar interests, rather than like an interview with you see sometimes these interviews on telly and it's like there's a famous person there and the person is like asking them really predictable stupid questions and sort of it's just unnatural. Those sorts of interviews to me just sound very, very unnatural. So for me, for this, I always wanted it just to be just like a chat. The idea was we were replicating a table in a pub with a group of cool people and we're all sitting around down in pints and chatting about books. Not that Lee Child couldn't do that, but yeah, we'll see. I'll reach out. I'll reach out. Kevin says, Child's no longer writing Reacher, so he must have time on his hands. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Oh, yeah, Ray's talking about Nathan Burrows in Norwich. He would be a good one, wouldn't he? I will have to... I think he's perhaps one to reach out to. So if anyone knows him personally, do send me his contact or introduce us, because he'd be a good one to get on for the new season. And that's another thing. I've done all of these shows by introduction. I don't think I've sent any like out of the blue messages to people. I think they've all been like, oh, my mate so and so recommended you get in touch with me, and I like that. That's organic. That's really important. I think that's made it good. Made it good. Right, Alison. What's Alison saying? She's asking a question. Ooh. Oh, yes. Right, so, random question, not book related. Are you planning any DJ shows over the Christmas or New Year period? I'm missing listening to you. Now, for those of you that have just tuned in, it was about a year ago, wasn't it? Or maybe it was even longer, because I think it was during that first COVID lockdown, Alison, we did that. But I did a launch party for one of my books. I can't even remember which one it was now. I think it was Berlin, actually. And I did a DJ set from my house and I streamed it on the internet. I think it was Twitch or one of those ones where you're allowed to play music. And I put it out to all my listeners, and I sent it to all my readers. I put a message out on my mailing list saying, if you want to come, email, reply, and I'll send you the link. And we had a great crew of us. Alison was there, Fiona was there. We had, I think it was about 25 people from all over the world tuned in to listen to this DJ set. And I was playing funk and soul and jazz and disco and house music, drinking beers. I had a lot of beers that night. I had about 8 cans or something. But it was really, really good fun. In answer to your question, I haven't planned that yet, but it would be good fun. I won't rule that out. I think that could be good fun. I don't know whether it will happen over the Christmas period, because I'm planning a couple of weeks back at my parents' house and won't have all the technology required to make that happen. Perhaps in January, though. I think so. Probably. So in answer to your question, not over the Christmas period, no, but potentially we'll do one in the early part of the year. And actually, I always think, Alison, I don't know if you agree, there's so many things to do over the Christmas period, isn't there? There's so much going on that actually it's really nice to have something different to do on a cold January Saturday night or something. So yeah, remind me of that, middle of January, and we'll get something scheduled, because I am well up for that. Maybe as like a little thing just for the regulars, on Books and Beer, the regular Books and Beer listeners. Yes, Fiona says we need a party with you as a DJ. You came to one of them, I'm sure, Fiona. I'm sure you were there. Maybe I'm wrong. I think we did a couple of them, 2 or 3, over the course of the last couple of years. Gosh, that's a long time, isn't it? Because Kathmandu's 3 years old in May next year. That's mad. So 6 months. So 2.5 now. That's absolutely crazy. Crazy times. Crazy times. Yes, Fiona remembers being there. She says it was a lot of fun. Steve says he can hook up Nathan Burrows on the show in the new year. That'd be amazing. Good man. Good man. Yeah, Fiona remembers being there. Kevin's asked another music-related question. Fantastic. Do you create Spotify playlists for your books? My good mate Damien does that. Oh, I know your good mate Damien. Yeah, what a nice guy he is. Not nice if you're a dog, though. He's nasty to dogs. Shuts them in cupboards and things. That's not true, by the way, dog lovers. No, I don't. But what I do have is a playlist of like ambient soundscapes on Spotify that I listen to all of the time whilst I'm writing for the first little while. Then after about an hour, that gets to a bit irritating. So I put on something a bit heavier, some like some more sort of beaty dance music. I do like music, so I am a bit of a music sort of, not expert. That sounds snobbish, but you know, I know what I like, and I put on some more sort of upbeat stuff in the afternoon, because then I feel like I need the injection of pressure. Whether that changes my writing or not, I'm not sure. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to. It wouldn't be interesting. It'd be a boring thing to work out, but. And you'd never know, because I remember which bits I write and which bits I don't for that. Oh, DC's tuning in. How are you, man? Good to see you. A previous Books and Beer guest. We'll have to get you back on the show, man, in the new year. We're back from the start of January. If you fancy it, let me know and we'll schedule you in for a date. Maybe if you've got a new release coming up, in fact, it could be a good way to tell us all about your new book. I know there's a lot of people on here that love your writing. And when you were on, in fact, we got a lot of great comments about your books. So, and as a you know, I know a lot of your books have a sort of conspiracy tinge to them, don't they? In fact, yeah, you'd like Istanbul, perhaps. Yes, he says, let's do it. Amazing. I shall send you the booking link in the next day or so. In fact, I'll try and do it today. Yeah, exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. Cool. No, this is really exciting. So, Books and Beers solo show to finish off the series. I think we've had. Oh, well, I could count the names. I think it's probably 10, maybe 11 shows from now until, from September until now. Then we'll have, obviously, 4 weeks off, 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off, and then back from the 12th. And probably do the same. And then I think I'll probably have a break again after about 2.5 months or so. Yeah, and keep them rolling through. I'm also, as you know, continue to do the Travel Now podcast, which I absolutely love doing. It's been great fun. I've got myself this little recorder now, and you'll have heard it if you listen to the latest episode. It's just like it's about the size of a phone, but it's just got like a mic on the top, so it's better quality than just using the phone, and it's great. I've really enjoyed it. I've done 2 episodes with it now, and the most recent episode of the Travel Now podcast is me and Martha camping in the Peak District a couple of weeks back. I think I remember telling you that I'd gone because I got back on a Wednesday morning and then did Books and Beer that day. I think that was the one that I had Mark Abbott on, actually. It was that show. I just got back. Yeah, and we really enjoyed it. It was great fun. Martha's in the podcast. We took this beautiful camper van that we borrowed from our friends at the Bucket List up to the Peak District, which is not at all far from us, actually. And there's a few thrillers written in the Peak District too. Not that I'm going to do that. It's, you know, it's been done, but there are, including Dawn Brookes has written a couple, in fact. And yeah, I just got distracted by this guy, Resnek Salenquak, put in Voy FYI. I'd always quite enjoy these spammer comments. Yeah, all right, cool. I particularly enjoy the ones on Instagram, and you guys who follow me on Instagram will know about these. And you post a book cover, and they write up under it, promote your book on with us. And I'm thinking, you're really rubbish at promoting yourself. You know, your promotional skills, even promoting your service, is very, very annoying. Why would I pay you to promote it for me? Why would I pay you to spam people on my behalf? You know. Anyway, there you are. I'm sorry, Ros Roinzek, if you're a real person, and I've hurt your feelings. Alison, I looked for that one today on Spotify, but couldn't find it. It's the only one I haven't listened to. It is there on mine. If you just search Travel Now Podcast, you should be able to find it. It should just be top of the list. Maybe you've got your list in the wrong order or something. I can send you a direct link if you can't find it. Just message me and I'll pop that over. But yeah, really enjoyed it. And there's another one coming from Budapest, which I'm editing. I'm halfway through editing at the moment, so that will probably be out next week. And then again, they'll stop over the Christmas period and come back in the new year. But yeah, so I've enjoyed doing both those things. I've only done it once actually, where I've combined the two, and that was with my conversation with Ty, because we had the idea before, because he'd been on the show previously, to talk just about his time in Asia and how that sort of impacted his writing. So it worked well in that point. It worked well at that time because it was about travel, you know, it was about a place. Whereas a lot of these conversations wouldn't normally work particularly well, because we talk more about books and these sorts of things than we do about travel, so they wouldn't work particularly well. But yeah, that one crossed over nicely. I've also talked here about my to be read pile. It's massive. I've got so many books to read over the Christmas period. Let me show you. Are you interested in seeing what I've got to read over the Christmas period? Let me see. And these are just the ones that are. Ooh. I mean, I know, Alison, I know you would do this in an afternoon, because you read about a book a day, don't you? But so here's just a few of them that I've got to read over the Christmas time that I want to. This first one is by a lady that was on the Travel Now podcast. It's her new book called You Are Where You Go. It's a non-fiction book about about her travels, basically. And I loved it. She was a great guest that was on the podcast, and I like travel stories because I'm a traveller myself and love travelling myself. And yeah, the idea of seeing some of the places I've been to and getting some ideas of the places I haven't been to, I thought, yes, brilliant. Then there's a couple of non-fiction ones. This one is one someone sent me because they want to be a guest on the podcast. How to be an amazing overseas volunteer. So I need to have a read through of that. It's something that I've thought about. I've never done any voluntary work abroad, and I know a lot of people say it's a great way to travel, but I also know there's a lot of pitfalls you can fall into when doing that. So that's a book for those things. I've got these two, which came up when I was looking for comparable books with Kathmandu, and just looked amazing. This one, A Rising Man by Ibher Mukherjee, and it's set in India in 1919. And it's about the Calcutta police force and essentially a murder mystery set in Calcutta in 1919. I thought, what an interesting premise already. It got me. He gets called to a horrifying murder. The victim was a senior official, and a note in his mouth warns the British to leave India or else. With the stability of the empire under threat, they must solve the case quickly, but there are some who will do anything to stop them. So I thought that one sounded brilliant. This one again came up when I was looking for sort of comparable books to Kathmandu. It's set in Brick Lane in London. And I just thought the cover was fantastic as well. And then my friend gave me this one, which is a classic. And I spoke about I think it was Phil Williams I spoke to about this. And I don't imagine I'll get all of these done because I've got my Kindle over there with... Actually, I've got one of Mark Abbott's books in that I'm halfway through on there. I've got one of Dempsey's books on there as well. And Steve Moore's just blooming released a new one. So that's going to go on there as well. So yeah, there'll be a lot to do. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Is it Aldous Huxley? Or Aldous Huxley? I think it's Aldous. Yeah, so that's one to read as well. So that's my Christmas reading list. What's on yours? Yeah, Fiona says she's well behind. I know the feeling, Fiona. So yeah, well, here we go. So if you've just joined us, thank you for joining Books and Beer. It is lovely to be able to have these conversations with you. And if this is your first show that you've dropped by, brilliant. Thanks for stopping by. I've loved that you are here, that you've joined me. Don't forget there are loads now. I don't know exactly how many videos we've got over the course of time, but we've done interviews for almost a year now. They started in January, didn't they? Who was the first interview that I had? That's a good question. Who was the first interview that we had on this show? I know Steve and I had done some together relating to our books or one of his books or something like that. But 122 subscribers. Someone subscribed since we've been talking. Thank you, whoever that was. If that was you, I don't think it's going to tell me. So I can find out. It will just tell me the. It will just tell me. Oh yeah, so we've had loads. We had Ken Preston, Michelle Medhat, Steve Taylor, Jay Tinciano. Who's this one? Dan Parsons. Oh, I'm just going back this year. DC Alden. Yeah. A great number of books. I mean, I can't. Phil Williams has been on twice. Jake Needham, that was a good one actually. I remember Jake Needham because he lives in Bangkok as well and writes brilliant books. If you haven't read any of Jake Needham's books, I'd recommend that. Well, everyone on here is brilliant. JT Patton, the ex-intelligence officer, his one was fascinating. His conversation. Yeah, so many good interviews. And if you've been here for any of them, or this is your first one, you can just go onto YouTube and watch through them all and see what happens. Some of them you might think, yeah, that's great. Some of them, when it's just me talking about my holidays, you might want to skip that one, or you might want to stay with it. I don't know. So. Oh, Alison says she's just finished I, Guardian by the lovely Steve. You are ahead of me then. I am excited about it. Because the first one in that trilogy I thought was fantastic. Set in India, which I love. Set in Mumbai, which I love. We meet Kayla in it, which is brilliant. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I will. That'll be another one added to my reading list. I just saw Kevin Corty and he made me think of something because he mentioned Damien earlier. And I've still not read his Dark Place book, and I need to do that. That needs to be added to my two. Oh, it's going to be so many. Kevin says, I reckon I listen to 3 out of 4 of my reads on Audible now, where it makes the commute and dog walking much more productive. Yes, I am with you on that. I think I'd probably do the same. Although, for some reason or another, I like non-fiction books on Audible. And I read quite a lot of those that way. I have got some fiction books on Audible as well, but yeah, it depends. I've read a couple of Steve Taylor's books on Audible. His ones are brilliant. So if you haven't got one, Kevin, if you're looking for your next read, check out one of those. They're great on Audible. His narrator's done a brilliant job. Oh, brilliant. Ray says he's subscribed. He slipped on over from Facebook. Thank you, Ray, to pushing us up to 122 subscribers. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. Cool. This is great fun. I like it. Steve Moore, what are you saying, ma'am? I Salvation is finished now too. Woo! Good work. And I've just had 2 new covers commissioned by David Berrins to follow up. Oh my gosh, you're doing 2 more. Oh man. I Destroyer and I Redemption. Brilliant. You are actually smashing it at the moment, mate. I am so impressed. It's brilliant. And then, so Steve, how do they link? And maybe this is a question we will talk about, I'm sure. How do they link to our Kayla series then? Because at some point she's got to leave Ridley, hasn't she? And go and do what we've got her doing in Sydney and San Francisco and Dubai. You know, do these all come before that, or do I Destroyer and I Redemption take place sort of concurrently while she's in doing our series. It's you've got to think about these things as an author. You know, like I was saying to Steve Taylor on here a minute ago, you know, if Leo and Alyssa were to meet up with Danny Pearson, we'd have to think about how that fits within all of our things. And I was saying this to Steve, I would love my characters to meet Kayla or Hiram or Alex Ridley or one of the guys from his stories as well. I'd love for us all to sort of, because our universes aren't, you know, they're similar enough for them to come together at some point or cross paths at some point. You know, I think they could work. At some stage. Kevin says that non-fiction is easier to concentrate on with your old Audible books. Yes, absolutely. Have you got into the Audible, and what do you think of the Audible ones that are included in the subscription now? I'm in sort of split minds on them, actually. And I feel like it's the whole Netflix thing again of, and if you aren't an Audible listener, Audible have gone down the route of like Kindle Unlimited, where there's a number of books that you can listen to all of the time, pick up, put down, whatever, and it's all included in your subscription. You don't have to pay the credit for it, which on paper is fantastic because you can listen as much as you want. It's great for you as a user. It's not so good for you as an author, but that's a different conversation. On paper, it's fantastic. But what I have found now, having gone through that for a few weeks, is that there aren't that many books that I'm interested in on there. So it's that whole Netflix thing of just like, oh, there's loads on, but nothing I want to watch. You know, and I grew up in a time, as did most people on this. We're all of a similar age or whatever. There's not many people younger than me on here who grew up when you know, lots of TV channels were a thing. You know, we had 4 when I was growing up. We didn't even get Channel 5 because we were too close to France. They wouldn't. It would. Whichever. I tell people now, and they're like, "That's a joke. That can't be real." Yeah, it's true. Didn't even have Channel 5 till I went to uni in 2004. He says he hasn't even explored it, so he only listens to books he wants, but a couple of credits a month is enough. Yeah, particularly if you get a longer book, you know. I mean, but my missus, she can listen to an audiobook because she does quite a lot of driving for work sometimes. She'll drive to another place or travel on the train or whatever. She can sometimes get through a book in a couple of days on Audible. In answer to my question, Steve, Kayla is in Salvation, but leaves Ridley and heads back to Sydney from Marrakesh. The rest is literary history. Yes, it is. Absolutely. I see. Yeah. So as we thought it was. So the final 2 are Ridley solo. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, exciting times. What's everyone up to over the festive period then? Have you got any strange family traditions that you'll be keeping to this year, or are things a little bit different? What are you ladies and gentlemen up to? I, as I say, will go down to my parents' house. Martha will stay up here with her parents because her parents live locally to Nottingham, and we've decided, even though we're married now, it doesn't necessarily mean that things have to change. And I've always been a big advocate of this anyway. So I'm going to go back to my parents because that's where I've spent Christmas for my entire life, and see my 2 young nephews who I haven't seen for a very long time. It'll be almost 3 months when I see them, which is way too long, really. And I think that's right. Yeah, it'll be a long time. And see them and have a week there. And then Martha will come down on Boxing Day or the day after to see me. And then we'll come back to Nottingham for New Year's. So we'll come up here and see some friends on the New Year, for the New Year's, which will be great, which will be lovely. Looking forward to it. Fiona says, I knew that Fiona's eldest was a nurse or worked in nurse or doctor, something in the medical fields. He works in A&E on Christmas Day. Whoa! So he comes on Boxing Day and celebrate on the 27th. Oh, lovely. So you'll still get your celebration. Yes, your eldest son. Alison, in true Alison style, has 16 people for Christmas dinner. Well, to be fair, Alison, you're used to that. That's just a normal Wednesday night, isn't it? A couple of weeks ago, didn't you have 16 people round for... I remember you sending me a photo of what you cooked. It looked beautiful. Or maybe that was 15. Maybe one more for Christmas. Do you even have that many chairs? I've struggled to fit 15 people in my house, let alone sit them at a table. Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Oh, Fiona's pleased that everyone will be together, which is absolutely fantastic to hear. And Alison is absolutely right. She sent me a photo of some beers, Piston Head beers, which are lovely. I've had them before, and they are beautiful. So, yeah. Last little bit of the Doom bar. There we are. This time last week we were only halfway through with old Ernest, wasn't he? He was having a nice... It was the longest show ever, at 1 hour, 37 minutes. I was impressed. I was impressed with it. I mean, I have talked with a couple of people about making these sort of an unbounded conversation, so it goes on for as long as it needs to. But I find that because I find that when you're talking like this to someone, and it's the same on Zoom or on like a chat thing like that, you need a lot of energy. I think you're more like, I think you're more sort of energetic like this because it's on screen than if you're just in person. And I think if you're in person with 10 people, you sit back and let everyone do a bit of talking for a bit and then say a bit yourself. And anyone who's been to the pub with me is like, no, you talk all the time. You never shut up. But anyway, I think after that hour and a half, I was like, tired, I need to sleep now. I did have a couple of beers as well during the chat, but yeah. I think after an hour of just conversation is more than enough. So we'll stick with it for an hour, but I am aware also that it doesn't actually matter. Like, if we get to an hour and the conversation's going great and there's brilliant questions in the chat and we're really enjoying it, I'll go a little bit longer. I don't mind. But if we get to an hour and and we both got places to be afterwards or whatever, we'll cut that one a little bit short. So it will be flexible. It'll be around an hour in the new year. Yeah, he is absolutely chatty and interesting, Fiona. And I keep meaning to go to, because Ernie does his Drinks with Dempsey, which doesn't sound anything like Books with Beers, does it? It's a complete different concept. I haven't stolen the idea at all, whatsoever. He does his on Fridays, which is it's 4 p.m. his time, isn't it? So I think it's 9 p.m. our time in the UK. Either way, I tend to miss it because I'm at 9 p.m. Friday, I'm out and about doing whatever I'm doing at that time. So I tend to miss it. But I have tuned in a couple of times and they're great. Alison says once he starts, he can't stop, like Pringles. Yeah, 100%. Ray says, as aged as I am, all my wives and parents have passed on. My dad was the last to go at age 99. That's an incredible age. Wow. All my cousins scattered across the US, Rhode Island and California and points in between. Yeah. This is the thing about Christmas, isn't it? And I have personally sort of mixed feelings about Christmas because I feel I like seeing my family, obviously, and I like the time to do that. But it is way too over the top for me. It's way too intense. It's too much all at once. And I'm the sort of person that I'd much rather spread all of that good stuff throughout the year and do it, more often, but spread throughout the year than sort of grind yourself out during the other times of the year and then blow it all up, during the Christmas period for one reason. And I do think it's sort of when when there aren't people that are around to share that with you anymore, it does make it very, very difficult. So yeah, me and my family do very low key things for that sort of reason, Ray. For the reason that it's it's also thinking about the people that aren't there with you anymore. And I know Fiona will be feeling the same thing. Yeah, when Christmas Day rolls its way around. But no, yeah, as I say, I have sort of mixed feelings about it, and it's not to be a Scrooge or to be a bar humbug, as a lot of people accuse me of. I just sort of think it would be, people talk about Christmas cheer, and I think screw Christmas cheer. Just be nice to each other all of the time. You know, just don't be an idiot. You know, in January, in February, March, April, anytime. You know, just take time and spend a bit of time with you. You know, don't make excuses to be with the people that you love. You know, because you don't know how long they're going to be around, and all of the. Oh, this has got dark very quickly. You know, you don't know how long they're going to be around, or what's in store. You know, and I know a lot of people couldn't see their relatives last year because of lockdowns and whatever. So I think this year's going to be especially big. But yeah, I mean, I don't really buy presents for people. I turn up with a armful of booze, or invariably what I've done in recent years, since I haven't had a car, is I mail order the booze to be delivered to where I'm going, and then turn up and drink it, and then and enjoy the company of the people that I love. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Absolutely too much pressure at Christmas. Enjoy when you're together. Too right, Fiona. Too right. Flipping it up. Kevin says, I hear you're planning a trip to Berlin. My next book is based there. Well, why don't you come to Berlin between the 3rd of January and I think I'm there for 10 days, 13th, 12th, something like that, all going well. And we'll have a beer. But yes, I am planning to go to Berlin at the start of January. Fingers crossed. Now, the reason I say fingers crossed is because a friend of mine is getting married on the 15th. And if there's a risk that we'll have to be isolated in some, you know, prison hotel on the way back, I may reschedule it because I don't want to miss the wedding. Or yeah, if there's a high risk that that's going to happen, I will reschedule it. But if it's the case of coming home and spending a day till I get some test results or whatever, I'll do it. But yeah, that's the plan. I have been warned that Berlin is absolutely freezing in January. I've only ever been in the summertime. So, yeah, so we will see if that stands up. But I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I love those sort of little trips. I have said to myself, I said about 2 months ago, I was like, right, I'm going to do 6 months of short trips, sort of stay in Nottingham most of the time and do a few 4 days, 5 days, 4 days off and out and back around. And then come sort of spring, summertime, plan something a little bit longer as and when we can. But yeah, at the moment it's going to be all about those little 4 day trips away, which are great fun. Do you know what I mean? I still really enjoy those. And Kevin agrees, it can be deathly cold. Because you lived there for a while, didn't you? I think I remember you saying. Or visited there frequently for a while. Alison asks, are you going to the Dawson conference in June? I am intending to. Yes, I'm intending to. I haven't done anything about that intention, but it is there, and that's in London as well. So maybe my book will be out. I mean, that's a good one, isn't it? Maybe I'll have to go and get some photos taken with it. I was thinking of this actually because I've got those profile photos of mine, which you'll have seen on my Instagram and Facebook and whatever. Me standing in front of graffiti walls and looking all grumpy and these sorts of things. I remember when I got those taken, I said to the photographer, I was like, can't I just do one smiling? And he was like, no, that's not cool anymore. I was like, what? And I said, can I try one? And he said, yeah, if you want. And there's a couple of me sort of grinning. He sent them over and he was like, look, see what I mean? I was like, yeah, you're right. I've probably still got them somewhere, me just with a stupid grin on my face like this. Oh, DC says, last time I was in Berlin, there was a wall down the middle of it. Oh, it must have been a long time ago then, mate. You're not that old. That was the 1980s and early 90s. Gosh. If you went to Berlin then. Kevin says, oh yes, self-publishing author Booze Fest in London. DC and Kevin, are you going to that? That would be great to see you both in the flesh, because there's a few people that I've obviously met. Steve Moore, Ken Preston I've met, Dan Parsons I've met, a few other people from those conferences, the guys who do the podcast and that. But I've not met so many of these guests, including, and this is bonkers to hear, including Steve Taylor, who I've never met face to face. I've known him for ages now, and we don't even live that far away. And I've never actually met him in the, you know, in the flesh. So I will hope to meet him before June. Actually, I hope to get down to Norfolk, meet Steve Taylor before that. And in fact, because Steve Moore will be there, we'll have a meet up at some stage. Yeah. God, all right. I'm running out of beer, so I think it's almost an hour, which is always incredible. These shows that I do on my own, always like the way how I managed to just ramble for an hour. Just makes me think, yeah. So, I mean, if you're listening back to the old episodes, you might just want to skip the ones with me on my own because it's just me talking about what I'm doing that week. You might want to go for the ones with me with DC, which is great, me with Damien Vargas, which is great, me and all the other beautiful ladies and gents that have been kind enough to join me on Books and Beer. So, whatever you are up to over this festive season. Oh, Fiona, bless you. Thank you. No, they're really good. Whatever you're up to over this festive season, have an amazing time of it. Enjoy it. Revel in the fact that you've got that time with the people that you love, or doing something that you enjoy, or being, just do what makes you happy, and that's important. If you've got, a big to-be read pile like mine, that would be great. It's a good opportunity to get through that. Please do stay in touch with me, and if you've got any suggestions for people to come on the show, Facebook message or just on email is a great place to do that. I will, try and put those into, if I think they're appropriate people and they're someone I want to get in contact with, I will sort of put them into action, and we'll sort that out. Have a great festive time. I will see you in the new year, January the 12th. We're back with Jim Heskett live on the show. It's an hour earlier than normal because he's somewhere in the States, but can't do 5 p.m. So we're going to 4. But I'll tell you more about that. There'll be a link up on the thing, and it'll be all over the place. You'll know that that's coming when it comes. But that'll be on in January the 12th. Have an amazing holidays. Look after yourself. Enjoy yourself, most importantly. Yeah. And I'll see you in 2022. Wow.